Whenever you're ready.
Hey everybody, this is Franchon Francis, founder of Healing Your Almond on the Red Couch. I believe this is like my third show. We would like you to subscribe so you can keep updated on all the wonderful things happening on the Red Couch. I'm sure I'll be back again. And if you would like to know any more information about the events we're about to talk about, links are in the description.
Hey, this is Louis T. IMOLT podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Look us up because we got a new episode.
Champion bound, I'm Malcolm X with a pinch of Christ. Catches with the jab, I'm Floyd May, my defense is nice. Crafted by a Mac, I'm embedded to get the cheese. Genius with the beats, this pop art and I move with ease. Heart cold, apply pressure.
My name is Franchon Francis. I'm the founder of Healing Your Almond. I'm a licensed clinical mental health counselor and a certified practitioner of trauma and training. I low-key wish I would have had this for my event. Low-key. You were there. You could have offered your couch, actually, if I remember correctly. So flipping the couch was kind of conceived out of the concept of reducing the stigma of mental health, specifically in communities of color. I want to say maybe May, June of 2019, my team and I started thinking about how do we reduce the stigma of mental health? How do we help people be more comfortable going to therapy? Specifically, how do we help people of color get more comfortable going to therapy? So we designed this event called Flipping the Couch, Rethinking Therapy. And we did the event, and it was done at CFCC at Union Station here in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was in October of 2019, and it was a live demonstration of therapy, and I made myself the client. So I was on the chair. I was on a vulnerability couch, I called it. And then we had an actual licensed therapist who participated authentically as herself. I participated authentically as myself, only we did it in an auditorium with 160 people present.
Okay. And so, I remember because I actually met you, I met you the day before that event, but you said at that event, those were actual things that you said with your actual therapist. The therapist that did the live reenactment, is that your therapist that you originally told us?
No. So in Flipping the Couch, the original Flipping the Couch, my therapist name in that setting is Caitlin Garner. And Caitlin Garner is a coworker of mine. And I asked her to volunteer to demonstrate what therapy might look like. So I was authentically myself. She was authentically herself. However, she is not my actual therapist in real life.
Okay. But those were things that you actually did tell your actual therapist at that time.
Yes. So what I basically focused on were things that happened to me the previous year. I wanted it to be authentic, but I also wanted to protect myself. So I didn't want to talk about something that was going on currently right now. What I spoke about were traumatic events that happened to me in 2018. So I spoke about a car accident, and I spoke about one of my really close friends dying of a heroin overdose.
Yeah, and being in a new area without your support group.
Yes, I spoke a lot about, I go in on Wilmington a little bit too much sometimes. So I also spoke about what the experience was like moving to the South and specifically moving to Wilmington.
Okay. So what can people expect? So when is the event that you have coming up?
So Flipping the Couch, the screening, and this is the first screening that we're doing that's open to the public. We have done some screenings in between the original event and now, just to get an idea of camera angles and how it is received on screen, because being there live and watching a screening are not the same things. So we wanted to make sure that it had the same impact on film as it does in real life. Turns out it does. We've gotten great feedback from a lot of different institutions and individuals, and it's been awesome. So October 7th of this year at 5:30 p.m., Flipping the Couch, the screening will be hosted by UNCW's MedWeek. And MedWeek stands for Minority Entrepreneurship Development Week. So this is the 5th or 6th year that UNCW is doing this. And basically what we're going to be showing is the video that we captured during the original Flipping the Couch. So it has 3 segments. The first segment, you get it. Caitlin leads this activity called Privacy Squares. and you get an idea of what that first session looks like, what an assessment looks like, what kind of questions somebody might ask you, real life contemporary example. The second segment is me, and I come on as the client, and I talk about some things that I've been through. I talk about moving to Wilmington. I do talk about some inappropriate physical touch just as like a trauma trigger, letting everybody know that. And then I also talk about a car accident. And Caitlin does a good job about giving me coping skills and validating me and things like that. And then the third segment is like my second session, what a second session might look like. And during that session, we do a little bit of a deeper dive into some more traumatic things. And that's where we talk about my best friend. His name is Nakia. He died of a heroin overdose. And we just talk about what that was like for me and finding out and being a therapist and having someone that close to me died because he was doing heroin. I didn't even know about it. So, and then there's also sprinkled in there a lot of multicultural things that I did not think about intentionally. I know nobody believes me, but I promise you it was not intentional. So you have to come to see. I'm not going to tell you, I don't want to, not spoiler alert, but my first screening of Flipping the Couch was done in New York with my closest friends. So Nakia and I were friends growing up, and we have a group of friends, and we're all friends together. And we've lost two of us. Two of us have died. So we did a private screening with just the five of us in New York. And when we were watching it, my crew said, like, shots fired because of some of the things I said. And I didn't even realize that that was shots fired or was bringing up cultural issues, because I'm so authentically myself in all spaces that I don't even pay attention to potentially hurting people's feelings because they're white or whatever. Like, it's just not something that concerns me. So I wasn't thinking about it, which I'm glad, because now it's a potential teaching tool for educators. But also it can give you an idea of what it's like to go to a therapist of a different ethnicity than you. So there's some things said that are interesting. I really hope people come and join. It's completely free. So all you have to do is go to healingyouroalmond.com, and you will see all the events that we're doing that week, and you can register, and you can watch from the safety and convenience of your own home. Starting at, if I remember correctly, 5:30 on October 7th. All the information is on healingyouroalmond.com. It is an event, meaning that you have to log on, sign in. We want to see, everybody's face. Chat box will be open. You can turn your video on or off. And then after we watch the video, we're having a panel discussion with myself and two other therapists. So you'll have access to 3 therapists live that you can ask them anything you want to ask them, either on the chat box, or you can take yourself off mute, on or off video, whatever you feel comfortable doing. It's really important. A big thing, Healing Your Almond is really about a lot of different things. And one of the things we do to give back to the community is focus on reducing the stigma of mental health. It's super important to us. It's not necessarily something that we make money off of, which is okay. It's something that we just do because it's important. So I want to make sure that people have access to other therapists besides me, because I'm not accepting clients. So you'll go to the screening, and then after you watch the screening, literally right after, the 3 panelists will come on the screen, and you'll be able to ask us anything you wanted to ask us. And then we end the session for the night. So the whole event is going to be about 2 hours. I know last time you were there for the actual original Flipping the Couch, a lot of people asked questions to the point where we had to kind of cut off the Q&A part because we would have been there for a while. So there's a lot of opportunity to ask questions. And the cool thing is that you can actually see the person you're asking the question to. You can specifically pick which of us you want to ask the question to, and then you can see our response, and it's live. And I think that we're losing a lot of that right now, especially in the pandemic. Like, it's just, people don't typically have access to therapists unless you're like going to therapy, which is wonderful. And I want everybody to go to therapy, but realistically, not everybody feels comfortable. But maybe if they can ask some questions, they might feel a little bit more comfortable. And that's our goal, is to take someone wherever you're at in your comfort level, and increase your comfort level to help get you to that step towards healing.
Okay. And then you also got some other events going on during Med Week, right?
Yes. So we launched, and I was just looking at the calendar, Med Week, we get to open and close Med Week, which I think is really cool. So Healing Your Almond is hosting an event called Resiliency as a Business Owner, which is Monday, October 5th. And it's around lunchtime. I think it starts at 1 o'clock. And that will be led by myself, and it's a workshop. And basically what I'm going to do is teach you some brain science and teach you what happens when you don't feel safe and how that plays into being a business owner. So oftentimes, for example, I'm a business owner and I think about my contracts and whether or not they're going to get paid and whether or not I'm going to get enough contracts. And that leads to thinking about, can I pay bills? Can I put food on the table? Can I pay for the house? All these other things. So what happens is when you get stressed to a certain point, you start not thinking well and not making good decisions. So I'm going to teach you the brain science behind that. And then I'm going to give you some skills, some very quick, very accessible skills that you can do before you go into those meetings, those business meetings, before you start making those major financial decisions. So that's what we're going to be doing Monday. It's called Resiliency as a Business Owner. It's on healingyouralmond.com, and then it's also a Facebook event if you want to look it up on Facebook. And then Wednesday we have a Flipping the Couch screening, which I've already talked about. And then Saturday, we have a new kind of event. This is my first time doing something like this, called Flipping Femininity, Misconceptions of Us. And we have 3 amazing, amazing speakers that are going to come talk about the experiences of being a female in the United States, being a woman of color, being a mother, being single, and trying to be a business owner kind of all at the same time. And that you will have access to therapists as well. So the format of that is our guest speakers will come out and speak, and then we'll do breakout groups that will be led by licensed therapists. And those therapists will kind of get you to think a little bit more about what you just heard, maybe think about some action steps that you want to take in your life. And then we come back as a group and share what our biggest takeaway is, and then we'll be leaving. And I believe that is, if not the last, close to the last event of MedWeek. So those are all 3 of our events. So MedWeek is very focused on resiliency, which I think is interesting. There's like 2 or 3 other events that have the word resiliency in the title. So I think there's a lot of that. I think there's more wellness than normal. I know that Tamika Brown, who is a CPA, a local CPA, Black CPA in Wilmington, she has her own event. And that was going to be talking about bookkeeping and kind of how to do that. And then Toya Wilson-Smith, who does next generation marketing. She's absolutely wonderful. This is, I think, her 2nd or 3rd year being a part of MedWeek. So she is going to offer a workshop on marketing. And there's plenty of other things. There's consulting businesses that are doing different things. There's some members of the Latin community that are doing different things. And I unfortunately don't know all of them off the top of my head. If you just Google MedWeek UNCW, I'm sure it will tell you. I just wanted to point out those workshops. I think they would be really important for communities of color to support, but then also you're getting access to workshops that most of us charge for free. So resiliency as a business owner is a customized training that I actually do for businesses, that businesses pay me to create for them. So this is something you have access to for free. Flipping the Couch is a product that's going to be available for sale after October 7th. It's not going to be available for free. There's really no way to watch it for free. It's copyrighted. It's owned by us. So this is your last opportunity to kind of see it for free. And then Saturday, you get, again, access to therapists and speaking events. Those ladies do a mix of free events and charging, but it's really nice to kind of have access to really experienced, wonderful professionals for free for an entire week. So it's not just the people I mentioned. There's altogether, I think we have 25 programs. So there's all kinds of options. I know that there's time constraints. People are busy because during that week you're also working. So my recommendation would be to just go on UNCW's website and look at all the different options that are going out throughout the week and just figure out, what events you can attend and attend. Make sure you register, because if you don't register, you don't get the link. So you have to get the link. I think most, if not all, events are being hosted on Zoom. So.
Okay. So all the events that you mentioned are ran by women. Is the event as a whole, you said, that women centric?
No. So there are males. I just didn't remember. Actually, I know there's a male that is leading another resiliency session. So the title of it is Minorities in Entrepreneurship Development. And what that means is when it comes to women of all colors, we are a minority in business ownership. And then when it comes to anyone other than white folks, basically, we are a minority. So the week was created for women business owners, all women business owners, and all business owners of color. So that's kind of why I just mentioned that. There are males that have programs. I would say there's at least 5 male-led programs. I just don't know them off the top of my head. I just listed the 2 people that are part of my programs. Now there is, like, so for example, Flipping the Couch is going to have a panel discussion. And the panel discussion, there will be a black male therapist in my panel discussion. And that was very intentional. I definitely want to make sure that males, especially black males, always feel safe and always feel included and always have a healthy role model of what things can look like. And his name is Jamie Washington. He's born and raised in Leland, currently has a private practice in, I want to say, Mayfair area. So he will be a part of the panel discussion as well. So there are some events that are maybe led by a woman, but also have other like males involved or other ethnicities, or it's kind of all over the place. So you got to just look and check out and see what works for you.
Okay. And I know with the Flipping the Couch, you hit the pavement, went out to like barbershops, things of that nature. Like far as in a post-COVID world, like how do you, besides doing stuff like this, how do you really get the message out or for this event, or is that just kind of on UNCW?
So the thing is that we are doing marketing. So we're doing paid ads on Facebook. I think maybe Instagram as well. But honestly, that's a big thing that I'm struggling with. I'm an in-person person, so I really enjoy meeting people. I know barbershops are open. But the other problem is not just the COVID and pandemic and being out, but also having time to promote. When I did Flipping the Couch, I actually had a team member that was dedicated to promoting. So he did video, he did marketing, he did all of it. I don't have that right now. So I'm definitely just looking for word of mouth, social media. I think that normally I would do flyers if I had a budget to do flyers. I just don't this year. And then we're also doing targeting emails. So we're doing specific emails to certain people. So that's pretty much how I'm looking forward to marketing. But yeah, I'm known for hitting the pavement and making sure that everybody knows what's going on. And I don't know that that's something I'm going to have time to do. So if you're watching this video, please come, and then also please share it to just let people know, because it's definitely something that's extremely unique. There is nothing that I'm aware of that has a woman of color authentically being herself, licensed. So not just talking about things because it's fun. Like, I'm a licensed therapist. And then it's recorded and available to the public. And it was recorded recently. So everything I've seen is from like the 1990s, 1980s. There's nothing in the 2000s available out there at all. So there's some good videos, but they're all really super dated and they're superficial in terms of the content of the video is about, I had a fight with my roommate, or, me and my sister aren't getting along. And not that those things aren't important. I don't want to minimize people's experiences because they are important. But what happens is if somebody watches that video and then they have something more upsetting going on or more personal going on, they may feel like they can't go to therapy because it's not for them. I wanted to make sure that when I spoke about something, I was being sincere, authentic, but also deep. Like, I wasn't just talking about superficial stuff. I was talking about things that really have happened to me and that really do impact me and upset me, and have traumatized me. So there's nothing else like it, which is very, very exciting, but also really hard to explain. So I'm really relying on word of mouth and sharing videos and things like that, so people can come.
Questions that I had from our last video that we did, and I was surprised I didn't ask this, but how did you come with healing your almond?
So healing your almond refers to a part of the brain. And I'm just going to have to teach you a little bit about it real quick. If you draw an invisible line at the intersection through your eye and through your ear, the line where those two things meet is a cluster of nuclei called the amygdala. And the amygdala is the size and the shape of an almond. And your amygdala is your internal fight, freeze, or fawn system. So what happens is if a black bear came in here and wanted to attack us, the amygdala, which is the alarm in our brain, would go off. And then if we didn't return to safety, that alarm would keep going off. And it would have all of these negative repercussions on our lives. And a lot of times the word amygdala is super intimidating, very scientific. People don't really like to say it. It's hard to even spell. But it's the size and the shape of an almond. And a big part of what Healing Your Almond does is just that. We help people heal their almond. So if your almonds are healed, then that means you can function to the best of your ability. So that means you can be more productive at work. You can have healthier relationships with your coworkers. You can have healthier relationships at home. You can take better care of your body. There's all these things that can happen if your almond is healed. So technically it could have been healing your amygdala, but who wants to say amygdala and who wants to try to type that? So that's why the name of my company is Healing Your Almond.
Okay, because somebody was thinking it could be walnut, because walnut looks kind of like a brain. Like the
Right,
brain as a
yeah,
whole.
yeah.
But
So
it's
it
not
is,
just the brain.
it's a very specific part of the brain. Literally a tiny little almond that exists inside of your brain on each side, between your eyes and your ears.
So is that where anxiety comes from?
It can be. And there's a lot of causes to anxiety. One of the things that people forget is dietary stuff. So there's certain things that you can put into your body that actually increase your anxiety. Um,
Like meat?
Meat is a big one, especially red meat. Salt sometimes, sugar almost all the time. So anything sugar related. And please remember that just because it doesn't say sugar doesn't mean there's not sugar in it. So like fructose or corn syrup or all those kind of things, all are sugar. Those can increase your anxiety. Um, and then also, if you have been traumatized, if you've experienced something that made you feel physically or emotionally unsafe and or powerless, can play out in your life later and show up as anxiety. One of the things that makes people super frustrated is they went through something horrible at some point in their life, and then they kind of managed to survive and work things out to a certain level for months, sometimes years. And then something will happen, or then they start having anxiety and or depression, and they go to therapy and they're so frustrated because they're like, I was fine, but really they weren't fine. They were just surviving. And that alarm that we were talking about earlier is triggered in their brain and is constantly going off, but you can still function. I think that's the really key part. So for example, we're in your beautiful home right now. If you had a state-of-the-art ADT or CPI alarm system and the alarm in this house started going off, we could still sit here and talk. It would be extremely difficult. We would be very distracted, but we could talk. We could go outside and maybe eat some food. We could do laundry. We could watch TV. We could do all of the things because the house is still standing. The house is fine physically. But what ends up happening is after long periods of time of that alarm going off, it starts to have an impact on your entire body, head to toe. So what ends up happening is it manifests in your life in different ways, and it looks different in different people, which is why trauma is so difficult to diagnose. And a lot of people call it other things, when really what it is very simple. You were made to feel physically or emotionally unsafe and or powerless sometime in your life, either for a couple minutes, a couple hours, or years. And now that alarm system is going off constantly, and you're having all these other symptoms from head to toe that impact the chemicals in your body, impact your ability to learn, impact all of these different things. So that's why I'm so passionate about the name of my company. I've actually had people say to me, like, that's a stupid name, you shouldn't name it that. And I'm like, okay. And then I've had other people, complete strangers, in planes or on elevators and say, Healing Your Almond, what does that mean? And what that does is it gives me the opportunity to give them a tiny little bit of education. Because if we all understood that trauma is real and that trauma actually physically impacts a part of the brain, and you can actually see it on brain scans and in the chemical makeup of your blood work, then maybe we would pay a little bit more attention to making sure that people feel physically and emotionally safe. So that's why the name of my company is Healing Your Almond, and also why it's so important.
Okay. And then how did your New York friends, like, how have y'all healed since then?
Oh, that's a great question, and I wish they were here. Um, um, what we're focused on building, all of us are focused on building for the next generation. And some of us don't even have kids. I would say most of us don't have kids. None of us have kids. Hold on, let me think about this. None of us have kids. Well, one. Okay, so one. But we're like the really, well, I'm the only female, but we're the auntie and the uncles, right? So like, we love hanging out with kids. We love young people. Some of us want kids. So we're very focused on building companies, building legacy. That's kind of what we're spending time with. And then when we see each other, it's so much love and so much happiness, and just so, especially for me, just so much gratitude that we still get to see each other and that we still have that connection. I think losing the people that we've lost have helped us to appreciate life more. And it helped us to really appreciate each other more, because we went through some stuff together that if you weren't there and if you're not Native, you're just not going to understand. And unfortunately, Native Americans make up less than 2% of the population. And a lot of us don't, right, thanks to genocide and colonizers, but a lot of us don't make it to our late 30s, which is the age of my whole crew right now, is we're in our late 30s. And so we're happy about that, and we're planning things, and we're looking for the future. And we're also looking for ways to promote our culture and the things that we've been through in a positive way, and resilience and things like that. But I don't want to make it seem like there's a world in which we aren't going to miss the people who died, because some of us wear bracelets, some of us have tattoos, some of us have chains. We all have shirts that we made that we wore to the funeral. So there's not a world in which we don't miss them and think about them. That's just not a thing. And we kind of all know that, and we're just okay with that. And then figuring out a way to also invest in right now and invest in the future simultaneously, while allowing ourselves to miss the people that we love.
Anything you want to say that I might have missed, or tell the people?
No, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for having me. This is like, I like being here. You guys didn't see, hopefully it wasn't recorded, but I came in here like laid down because I'm so tired. But I really want people to come. And then also, like, if you have any questions for me, feel free to like comment, ask questions. You can reach out to me directly on Healing Your Almond, but you can also just comment on this video. I'm sure it will get back to me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me. Is www.healingyouralmond.com. There's a contact form there. My email's there. My phone number is there. That is the fastest way and the most up-to-date way. Also, we have Facebook and Instagram, both at Healing Your Almond, and LinkedIn. If you go to Franchon Francis LinkedIn, you'll get a really clear profile, a professional profile. So yeah, those are all the ways to find me.
Champion bound, I'm Malcolm X with a pinch of Christ. Cashes with the jab, I'm Floyd May, my defense is nice. Crafted by a Mac, I'm embedded to get the cheese. Genius with the beats, this pop art and I move with ease.